and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here today. But before starting, I would like us all to stand for the national anthem, just for some minutes. Thank you.
We strive and walk and pray. That's all men live in unity, freedom and peace each day. Let justice guide our actions, true words are common true. And join our lovers people, true, must brotherhood. We pledge our firm allegiance, our promise we renew. Keep us great God of nations, to the Gambia ever true.
Thank you very much. The importance of this conference today cannot be underestimated because this offers you a platform to interview a citizen of this country who has worked tirelessly to see to the development of this nation. I therefore urge you all to refrain from asking personal questions, questions that have the intent to attack other political parties. Instead, I urge you all to ask questions on policy and national development. To make things easy for you, I have copies of his opening statement, which I will hand out to you in due time. And without wasting much time, I will now hand the floor over to Honorable Mai Fatty. You're welcome.
Rahim. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome all of you this afternoon to a media engagement. I'd like to thank Fatmata for opening remarks. I am going to deliver an opening statement. This statement will be given to all of you. You will all have a copy of the statement before leaving here, so that you can concentrate on the listening and formulating your questions. So the statement will be circulated to every media outfit present here. You will have the physical copy of the statement that I'm reading. I prepared a statement because we should have a framework within which things are contained, because this press engagement is not going to be more than an hour. There are several activities, and so we will make sure that we confine ourselves to that. Fellow Gambians, today I speak to you not just as a politician, but as a man who has lived and nearly died for the ideals of freedom, justice, and inclusive development. My journey has been one of pain, sacrifice, and unyielding commitment to this nation. From my teenage years as a student union leader through the dark days of dictatorship, where I endured arrest, torture, and an assassination attempt on my life that left me with broken bones, a fractured neck, and 2 agonizing years of recovery in Senegal and in Germany. I still remember the cold floor of the NIA cell, the brutality of those who perceived my voice and work a serious threat as a human rights lawyer defending victims. And some nights I wondered if I would live to see a free Gambia. However, even in that acute suffering, I made a vow never to relent until dictatorship was buried and true democracy restored. From my hospital bed, I crawled to meetings across Europe and Africa, leaning on crutches, rallying the world to isolate the dictatorship and building international consensus to end dictatorship. I returned home in 2011 and again in 2016, despite death threats and the attempted assassination that left me in hospital for 2 years. Campaigning to stand firm with the United Democratic Party and other patriots under an alliance platform, campaigning across this country to end tyranny through the ballot. And in 2016, we triumphed, not with bullets, but with the vote. Today, the Gambia is free. Our governance space is now ranked among the most open in the world. Yet freedom alone does not feed the hungry. Freedom alone does not educate our children. Freedom alone does not heal the sick. And freedom alone does not create jobs or grow the economy. What lies ahead is the harder task of building a Gambia of shared prosperity where no one is left behind. Since the fall of the dictatorship, this government, in all honesty, regardless of where you stand on the political divide, has delivered the most ambitious infrastructure transformation in our nation's 60-year history. Achievements that were once deemed impossible. Hundreds of kilometers of new roads, including critical highways and rural access roads, now connect farmers to markets, students to schools, and businesses to customers. The iconic Samba Juma Bridge at Basse Kerewan Badala crossings in the Upper River region and other key infrastructure projects have reduced travel time, boosted trade, and opened up communities once cut off from development. Thousands of new classrooms have been built across the country, ensuring that our children no longer land on the trees or in crumbling structures. This is not just about buildings. It is about investing in the minds that will lead the Gambia's future. New clinics and refurbished hospitals mean that Gambians no longer have to travel miles for basic care. Maternal mortality is declining and more lives are being saved because healthcare is finally reaching the people. For the first time since independence, thousands of rural Gambians have electricity in their homes, a fundamental game changer. The expansion of urban and rural electrification, including investments in green technology, such as the one in Jambur, and the 150 megawatt that is being built at Soma, is powering businesses, schools, and homes, breaking the cycle of darkness that helped progress for generations. What makes these achievements, what makes them even more remarkable, is that many were financed through domestic resource mobilization, a proof that when governance is transparent and accountable, the Gambia can fund its own development. Infrastructure is not just about concrete and steel. It's about liberating human capital. A farmer in Soto Masire should be able to get his produce to the market in hours, not days, earning more profitability for his family. A student in Kantora should no longer walk miles to school. She now learns in a proper classroom with electricity, giving her a fair chance to compete in the modern world. A mother in Jara should be able to give birth in a clinic with proper equipment. A small trader in Berending should be able to keep her stall open longer thanks to reliable electricity, increasing her income and lifting her family out of poverty. This is real economic transformation, not just GDP numbers, but tangible change in the lives of ordinary Gambians. Yet, we are not blind to the struggles our people face, such as rising prices, bureaucratic inefficiency, corruption, and slow reforms. These are not new. They are the legacy problems from decades of misrule. Reforms after dictatorship do take time. They cannot be rushed, but neither can they be ignored. The government has shown some commitment to tackling these issues, and I pledge to continue advocating for stronger institutions, transparent procurement processes, and efficient governance. We will continue to push for deeper reforms, but we must also be patient because nation building is not a marathon. Sorry, nation building is a marathon and not a sprint. Nation building is a marathon and not a sprint. I stand firmly behind His Excellency President Adam Barrow, not out of blind loyalty, but because his vision aligns with our shared goals for the Gambia, particularly infrastructure and inclusive rural development. My support is for the nation first, last, and always. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, distinguished colleagues and fellow citizens, today we gather not merely to address the issues of the day, but to reaffirm our commitment to the ideals that bind us together as a nation. This press conference is not just another event, it is an opportunity to rise above the noise and distractions and to focus on what truly matters: the unity, progress, and prosperity of our beloved country. National unity is not a luxury. It is an imperative. It is the foundation upon which we build our dreams, the glue that holds our diverse society together, and the beacon that guides us through the challenges we face. In these times when the polity is at risk of overheating, we must be the voices. We must be the voices of reason, the champions of dialogue, and the architects of solutions. We must resist the temptation to engage in toxic politics of insult and acrimony, and instead elevate the discourse to one of ideas, policies, and vision. Excessive partisanship and relentless division serve no one but those who thrive on division. They weaken the fabric of our society, distract us from the real issues, and undermine the trust that is essential for effective governance. Let us be clear, the strength of our campaigns, our leadership, and our vision lies not in tearing others down, but in building a future that uplifts all. Let us focus on the sublime, on the goals that unite us, and on the aspirations that inspire us. This is the realm where negativity cannot compete, and where the politics of division will always fall short. It is impractical, indeed impossible, for any political leader to work effectively within groups that persist in malicious verbal attacks, invectives, and contempt. Such behavior creates an environment of hostility and disrespect that drives away potential allies and undermines the very collaboration needed for progress. Numbers matter in politics, and only amateur politicians would dismiss any political grouping as small or insignificant. Every voice, every vote, every contribution has the potential to shape the outcome of our collective efforts and indeed for victory. Every voice, every vote counts. Even those labeled small, that small can make a significant difference in an election that is heavily contested. It is important not to drive away potential allies through toxic politics, because you might end up drawing them into the hands of those you may not like. To treat any group with disdain is to underestimate the power of unity and momentum that can be built when these groups find refuge in the welcoming hands of your adversaries. It is a mistake that no seasoned leader should make. Instead, let us foster an environment of respect, dialogue, and inclusivity, or inclusion, an environment where even the smallest voices feel heard, valued, and empowered to contribute to the greater good. Ladies and gentlemen, let us rise above the distractions. Let us reject the politics of division and embrace the politics of unity. Let us focus on ideas and policies that will drive our nation forward. And let us work tirelessly to ensure that our vision for progress is realized. Together, we can build a future that is not only brighter, but also stronger, a future that reflects the best of who we are as a people. I'll invite your questions from now onwards, but only those questions that advance our national discourse. I will not, and I repeat, I will not entertain personalized questions about me or my family, nor will I engage in toxic politics targeting other parties or their leaders. Our focus must remain on policy, progress, and patriotism. Thank you all. Announce your name, the media, yes. The media you come from, and your question.
Ahmed Fatty, Chef Fatty. I talk about a press conference. You talk about agriculture. You talk about national development, even in the village, the town of Fanda. Fine. Then again, I'm from the Banco can a cowbell. Nyadi the Kabunkel so long morning. It knows that's not equipment that in the down. Example, maybe you're about the Mancandia. It I also make it like Yala, but if that can have a Banco can I'm not a kid. They go person,
Mr. Fatty. Ana ñinin karaoke ni la hekatu ila ñinin karaoke bari be speech le dikam say ñinin karaoke be statement dole ke kam mbela fila mo le ñinin karaoke ni mela statement kele ha isa ñinin ka bari ñinin karaoke kana question okay kana statement ke don't give a speech.
Okay, that's fine. Okay,
thank you.
Now even some of ma bully ma ani kala pasima
yeah
dakana I'm going to think Kabo will have us Kabata. So Nico, Brother, play the Akaba, small that.
When I'm willing in Karoti,
then I would Najakana.
I bet more of Vokan. Say, in Karokisila. Ha. Hani ibe kuma kana ko jara kenda bunda man. Ha iko jara kenda bunda man tara betari. Ha okay ngali ngela ko momele say munam ñini karoti.
Ha ni kata wala ni. Après jonda baro mo sunda. E ko nek no kan ko jaguna ko na banko kan ata anya.
Hani man jon baro la masakunda. Ka tunde man tara masakunda. Mo be yalo ne ko man tara masakunda. Menna do khudla. So menketa wala napatio GMC wala ning baro la patio NPP kafuta bari mantara masakunda atol be yalla ne kon dum mantara masakunda napatio tata nga alliance wala kembe wala to jada kunda bunda to nya fayndiro ketale baro la taro anim bitema ngamira sanji sey mo to sanji kononto kabiri baro nata o sanji sey kono la at least sanji sababe je mi alan tol be fana ngado ko ke anim patiol membe be coalition kono abenene do ko ke o kono le so baro damala do ko kono sa fono nyin sanji sayo sanji kan kon do ko do sanji lulam waaw sanji lulo nyin kono fanan kato do man dinketale katum jannin tol binala ya jame sanji mo anim fula ayole kije saroro jawra sanji tan saba nyong le kije o sanji tan sabo anin sanji mo o beta sanji tal lulu anim fula o sanji tal lulu anim fula tema men keta jada kende ala bundala ala faramfanso anin ka anala futo banko karro mumé bela anin men keta baro la nyin adamala masakunda sanji lulo kono ne la balanso kay baje la sanji lulo nyine siatati loptanol mel lota asiata loptan mu wanti clinical meni alon ko ide da kuta an meni alon ko ibe da kan loptani saba nani lulu meni alon be da robe ke kambi refurbishment be ke kam arbitrage be wolle kono la tumo men na jawara bijang dol be ngalon ko bolomba kono la ikadang bansan damande ni be do ena bandul ya jamme kato ke ay do mandinke woltema sa mbeta momento baro fana nafta nata ay leptano lo mini alon ko ikafuta bar hani bi nsonta ko jada kende abunda abelam furim bake nyim banko kan andu mota fono la ko jada kende abunda atimmatale asabritale mobe fana nyanda konta la kola molbe fakan jankaro la mini alon ko imanyan nakafa musobe wulu kan dulalto mini alon ko akoleate bulu fodol katu tingoto andum borol fana buka sodo lutano fanato nyimbe mu kulet mini alon ko to nyalamu mo dekkelo keno la nin to nyabe lori mo nin ki to nya buka keleno so Mr. Fatty ndem ku soto ne ti nsonta nyilale biko ndabu ka balang tonya la muk tonya nakari bari ko kato fana keta o fana mu tonya la ti nyanda sunna wala le bari abebu kano sinya killing le temps banku mantar kering ning afrika kono dunia kono la dami yalon ko menyo be ke kanjang anyo bu ka wolto bari o manyan nakela e ndole daliloti ka foko bari abe ke kan gambia so nyanda wosula wala le man ko na nyantale be kato menna e tawsidi kendeke e jada kende abunda e ya yirwandi membita boro la karola membita doctoro la karola membita joran la karola ndol dunde alanso kono le pour que mako roke kabaro sembentu yandi o be sotna lol nyaadi le bari yeto nyaale fako hani bi jada kende am bundalati sulo bijele bari to nyaale fana muko jada bunda kende bunda kabirim barona da foko na bila falindiri jamale fana keta je adum dulale ko e satol sorta anin tundol soto ni banko kan min yalon ko inena man clinique soto inena man jada kende bunda soto hol biya soto le bi men tuta je wala dokar kendolti anin jaral jorangolu anin boro soto nyaalu wallum ko min yalon ko masakunda nyanta ka nyatini wo karola andum mfana bekato mu be kala fo masakunda sa nyatini no be ngaden e nyatini no kasolo nyamenna an banko fana nak fanko danta jamin rosi kenole ñina mun na jabiro to tala karo can you have another question no more yes you are
Good afternoon, my name is Manjay, and I am working with
Paradise TV.
Good. So I have two questions.
You will ask one question and then we'll go to the next until the turn is over. We give everybody a chance.
All right, so let me give the second question a try. Yes. My question is, like in all your speech, you have been mentioning some of the achievements you have made and then some of the achievements that it is achieved by the government of the Gambia. So, but like, I was really thinking for you to talk.
But I'm there for the follow. Yeji ngaro menke wala banko la marli kitabu kuto me yalon ko abe kataka ñu wato la adu akata ñu fanana ma kon warta baake e kon ndebe katu jumaale ke ka woto pour ka je ko mo lafta min na woyke folo nsini tandi ko tumo men na constitutional review commission ñing yela do ko bang foka pare ye marli kitabu me yalon ko ya ngania wala ñanda tala National Assembly pour ayke banko la marli ko kitaboti mais an wala mun na third republic te kafo sama so mandale a ñanda tala député bumoto bi wularo lota ndiyam ta gambe di mume beye fo ñaaji obota o ñaaji bo ñin kono la doli ake tulumoti dol be ngi awase ala politico kono la bari mune ono kantum mo jama be wuri kan membe kerim bi kabrin gambe ya fansoto kabo ya jamela marle jaw bulula mo jama be diamu kan mo jama opportunity be kumol fo kan o fansoto nyin wala yatin na waketa bari o fansoto nyin kono la o kelo kono la sanji jama ndol niyo be na tulaje kadu ndem felendi kato kedal pour kam fa yen singul katile ngen kawon kati ndata exile naraje ko million tang ani woro 116 million wala dun tan in constitution kono la ngaje ko politiko be na kanje ngamira kato men kita mo min yalon ko en yotota nyin kuoto ibe na o kala politiko ti wala en tora fo mamu nyano nyaaji obota adu nyaaji bo mu kayra balete kadu banko la sulo wala mbulala woto ngo appeal men ko wato kono pour député bungulo bari nteman député soto National Assembly albe wolonde bari so sembo man ndemay fadi kunkilo man sembo soto pour National Assembly nyanta bankola nganyo tamandila nyamen o sembo man trambulu parti fula wolle sembo soto National Assembly bake o parti fulolu nyen diamo nyanda tala wolle ya kadu wolle sa kenu ayke wolle sa kenu atakela ndeta danta diamo lela bari ka kebaro ke ka katoke o parti wol men yalon ko wolle National Assembly member soto so ali muru wol kan ali wol nyini ka foye Gambia kanu fodi man Gambia kanu natare Gambia kanu itol me sembo soto ka falindiro ke nyin koto itol yake ndema o sembo soto ka ndema député soto so parliamentary parties those are the ones who are entitled to ensure that the constitution is passed or not passed in any form, shape or one order But my appeal is that they should all consider the national interest. Mo base bankola nafa jube ni marle kitab tokoto. Mbe okilolela mbe kotinela kawdi amole dibi mbe mo be fana jamarla alsimuru patiol kan patiol min yalon ko wolle sembo sur national assembly kadu nde man patiol soto mbe national assembly kono ala barika.
Can you please summarize it in English, please? I can't speak English.
Essentially, what I'm saying is, I have advocated for the will of the people be reflected in the draft constitution. And on the eve of the passage of the proposal to pass the initial draft, I addressed the nation. I addressed the nation on the imperative, the historic imperative, that members of parliament should look at the national interest and forego their political allegiances, because a lot of blood was shed in order to bring about a third republic. I was among the people whose life was nearly lost in the fight for dictatorship. I indicated an assassination attempt left me with bones and fractured neck, and over 2 years of excruciating pain in hospitals in Senegal and Europe. So I am a veteran of the liberation struggle. I have battle scars to show how I fought for this country, along with other brave Gambians, some of whom are not alive today. So when we see politics taking precedence over national interests in the passage of a new draft constitution, it hurts me, it pains me to a point where I could not bear it, and I shed some tears. And I will continue to shed those tears as long as people who have the authority to make the changes in National Assembly continue to neglect their national obligation. My party does not have any National Assembly member in our parliament today. So it is for parliamentary political parties who are represented in National Assembly to either perform the aspirations of the people into reality or abdicate their responsibilities. And it is for you citizens to ensure that those parties who have the ability and the power either to pass it or to fail it. So it fails, it will be the liability of those who are in the National Assembly, because they have the voice, they have the vote and the power to make it happen or not. So every government should know who are playing politics with this constitution. You all know. And I'm going to say that, of course, the president has made effort. He's opened the doors open, and he's very flexible to discussions. I think all other players should be very flexible and open to discuss so that we can have a new constitution. But we cannot have everything. Everybody cannot have everything you want in this constitution. Constitution building is a compromise. You accept some, you leave some. So we must be reasonable to understand that the draft as was presented cannot be the outcome of a new constitution. But finally, I believe that, in fact, the National Assembly should not have the authority to decide whether we have a new constitution or not. It should go to the public and let the voters vote on a plebiscite, because it's a referendum that should determine the emergence of a new constitution. But parliamentarians are appropriating that sovereign responsibility which belongs to the people to themselves. We need to change that trajectory. Thank you. Yes.
La seconda question, come non parlo con because Barossa Yamorota. First, I election MPP. As a more general, even most secondary, I have some license. People they come to Yamorota. So I play an alliance with MPP as a new party. What does it got? Don't resist. What is Saturday over the highway? Someone definitely
follow ye mistake ole ke ndema fo mbe baro la advice ala mbota je because baro buka yamaro muta mbe bala je lungo menna nga dunia bele kili media bebi jele kel faru fana bi jele wolugo hotel auto taytandi Gambia dimul la munati na mberi zan kam na kumo kono la mafo baro buka yamaro muta na bi je afintindi bari mofo ngole I do not feel challenged, and I do not feel useful in the role. Ngawale fo. Woni baro buka yamaro mo manke kilinde de mo intela de. Mo fo mo itela la kumoti, itela la miral kumo. Na kumo itela ya franfansi won, itela ya fasari wonyama. Bari o kumo mam monte da kono mo itela kumoleti. Bari fula nyango. Nsa fo fanan mbe na strategic meeting wala baro ne ala alliance molu. Ha ndele nga fo Nko barola wino. Wanyande kala by force no memman ni ka kon lo voka ite dum man ni ka dingolati. Men man ni ko moy tuma don salon non siwol forgive no le. Bari man ni ka kaw heka hakatu yela nyinen karo ke say mbatu ngeja biroke. Man ni ka kaw mol ka fele ko nying mbajala ko ngafa bari ni mbekelale. Bari yalla imam bare fala ni ko be fala wallahi ni borita. Hani fo nyote soro la. Nying anin sayale kanyantanye. Bari yalla nin sayana ray be borilale. Ite mo man ni ka diw nam man ni ka ko te ya fahamule. Ni ko te kala o be kala jaw yalla bari man ni ka kaw ngawole fo. Ayo hekatu. So ngamen for ngafo man ni ka kaw leto ndung man ni gol ka diamu nyamen na idioms na expression olu na cultural innuendos and na cultural nuances ngafo wole kono ndele nga diamo nyum fo man ni misa ni sasa diamo nyi kan ko ten ko ndele ngafo fanan andu man ni misa ndele ngafo bari ngafo dani lo men kamma man ni ka kamoyla ni man ni ka dum be yalonne men ben nak mo falina yake jawyati sako man ni ka dingolu wende bala fa bake kadu ndol be kale foko kafelo ko nying anin saale be kanyandante nying ani me fala bari nyinde kala nda be ngaw jele hani angelol ka fole over my dead body, but it will never be over your dead body because when death comes you run away be ngaw kala mo jale sur wal ka fodi na har so tank tubey way li du am way musulo har sa tank tubey do ko har so ali ngani nafiki ya bula ali ngani jawja bula. So Bengaro nako na kango our language are very rich. But for any kuma for drong ni ta mira ayla patiole ma o ite dame en favor yo kuma ndingota ya warandi amon futa dame ya fitno wulini banko kan o manke na politiko ni jabile ndung adanta woleto. Anybody else? Any other question? Yes. Thank you. There are failures or non-failures, but I know we have several governance issues that we need to focus on. One, we need to have a very robust economic policy, that deals with the inflation, rising inflation. There's a lot of price increases, we know that. But some of the reasons for those price increases are also that we are not a productivity center. For example, even vegetables. Vegetables that we consume, most of it coming from Casamance and Senegal. I mean, that is not forgivable. Who is responsible for the rise in the cost of vegetables? We have the soil, we have the land, but yet we are importing vegetables. So vegetables are not bought in Dallas, they are bought in the CFA. When CFA goes up, the women who go to Senegal to purchase those vegetables are going to increase their prices together with transportation and other things. So food inflation is here. Food inflation is domestically driven, but it is also influenced by external factors, some of which are self-induced. But there's a challenge there because government also ought to promote a very successful and robust horticultural policy. In other words, agricultural food self-sufficiency policy. That is necessary. The other area that we need to focus more on is in the area of corruption. The perception of corruption is great. So many Gambians feel that government is not delivering service in terms of procurement. So this is an area where we need transparent procurement process so that Gambians can feel that every dalasi, every butut that is spent in the performance government delivery is going where it belongs, so that poverty will be fought at the root, and we can deal with the root cause of poverty. We need to really resolve the issue of concerns dealing with procurement. The other issue we need to deal with is the matter of efficiency, general government service delivery. Many Gambians have this experience that government delivery service is not performing to expectations. Whether this is rightly or wrongly, government ought to take this criticism seriously and focus on efficient and effective service delivery so that government will feel that government is functioning. They have a working government. That is an area in which we need to focus on. The other area we have to expedite is the area of reforms, particularly institutional reforms. We inherited a legacy problem. During the dictatorship, all our institutions were politicized, they were destroyed. 22 years of systematic destruction of institutions. Now we need to rebuild. We need to restore the mandate, the true mandate of institutions back to them. Institutional strengthening, building strong institutions that are politically unbiased, that are intended to serve the basic needs of Gambian people is a prerequisite for sustainable development. We need a functioning, a competent, and an efficient civil service, public sector that will deliver to people's expectations. All these are challenges that we need to do. We have a security service that still mimics some of the legacies of the past. But it is not to say nothing is being done. Something is being done, just that people are not in agreement as to the pace of it. Some feel the pace is very slow, others feel much has been achieved. But I believe that government has not been communicating effectively on its successes. So there is the perception that nothing is happening in all of these areas. What with the new Mansakunda that has been initiated, I think the nation is now being thoroughly informed about some of the progress in these areas so that we can we can eliminate some of the misunderstandings. But there are deep challenges, deep-seated development challenges, very serious concerns that we ought to focus on. But that is not the reason enough to say you cannot work with the government, because all governments in the world are facing challenges. So because your government is facing a challenge, becomes a taboo to work with your government. That is not correct. We do not believe in extremist politics. We believe that the Gambia government belongs to the Gambian people, and everybody has a right to contribute towards national development with your ideas and any other form. Even if you are an opposition party leader or a member of the opposition, you still have a responsibility and a stake in Gambia's national development. You should not be celebrating when things go wrong. You should have a source of concern when things go wrong, because celebrating failures of government is celebrating failure of the people, failure of a country. And that is not citizenship, that is not patriotism, that is extremism. Thank you.
Now, a follow-up question to that. You made mention of corruption as one of the biggest challenges that this government is actually currently going through to fight corruption at the highest level.
Well, I think there is political will. The question is to what degree is where we will differ. Some say there's absolutely none. Some say there is some political will. And some say there's nothing. But you see, how would you judge government's commitment to corruption, political will? Is it because the public is crying that every allegation is not the case? And I'm going to give my own example. When I was at the Ministry of Interior and I was relieved of my cabinet responsibility as minister, there is these negative people. They raise all kind of presumptions that I received a bribe from Similex. And